body of Melodee Buzzard, the 9-year-old child who went missing from the Lompoc area in October of this year, has been found. The FBI arrested her mother, Ashlee Buzzard, for her murder. The calculated, cold-blooded, and criminally sophisticated premeditation and heartlessness that went into planning it.
We're entering a not guilty plea.
Oh, okay. Not guilty plea is...
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen.
It is entered.
Cold-blooded and calculated, mom Ashlee Buzzard pleading not guilty to the murder of her 9-year-old daughter, Melodee. We're talking about the way in which Melodee was killed. Plus, grief, anger, and so many unanswered questions. Melodee Buzzard's family is speaking out this morning. So who was it that failed this little girl? Plus, also this hour, there is a secret audio recording of Ashlee Buzzard now being revealed. We'll talk about whether it will tip the scales of justice against the accused child killer. And federal charges filed against Pastor John Paul Miller. He is accused of cyberstalking his estranged wife, Mica. We'll dig into the case. It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Monday morning to you and welcome to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. I missed you over the Christmas holiday. I hope you had a wonderful holiday with your family and your friends, and we put together a wonderful show for you. We are ready to go. It's a big day today. So we're going to start it off as we always do. Going to have you grab that cup of coffee right now. It's time for my opening statement. My heart sank. My heart sank when I heard about Melodee Buzzard being murdered. This beautiful, innocent 9-year-old child who we've been talking about for weeks was left in Utah after being shot in the head multiple times, allegedly, by the same woman who brought her into this world. Think about that. Police say that Ashlee Buzzard went to extensive lengths to premeditate, plan, and carry out her daughter Melodee's murder. The wigs, the rental car, the license plate swapping, backing into gas stations to avoid surveillance cameras. Police say that all of those things were part of that mom's sinister plot to kill her child. Police say that Ashlee Buzzard was able to carry out this cold, calculated, heinous crime because Melodee trusted her. Like every child should be able to trust their parent, right? Prosecutors are saying that they're not going to seek the death penalty for Ashlee Buzzard. To that, I say, why not? If Ashlee Buzzard lured her baby girl to take a trip to a remote place to shoot her in the head and leave her body behind only to resume her life like she doesn't have a care in the world, she more than deserves the death penalty. That's my opening statement on this Monday morning. I am fired up and disgusted about this case. Let me know your thoughts. We're going to talk more about it coming up in the show. Right now, though, it's time for your daily docket.
Did you kidnap Holly Bobo?
No, ma'am.
Did you rape Holly Bobo?
No, ma'am.
Did you murder Holly Bobo?
No, ma'am.
Did you have anything to do with the disposal of Holly Bobo's remains?
No, ma'am.
In Tennessee, we've got Holly Bobo's killer, Zachary Adams, back in court this morning. Remember that guy? So this is the final phase of what's called his post-conviction relief hearing. It starts up at 9 a.m. Eastern. He's looking to get a new trial after a jury convicted him in the 2011 killing of nursing student Holly Bobo. In Utah, we have got Charlie Kirk's accused assassin Tyler Robinson with a hearing today at noon Eastern. The judge is expected to rule on the media motion about closing sealing orders. And right now, we turn to your top story. Mom Ashlee Buzzard pleading not guilty to the murder of her daughter, Melodee Buzzard, arrested last Tuesday, charged the following day with first-degree murder for the shooting death of her 9-year-old. The arrest comes more than 2 months after a multi-state investigation into the disappearance of her beautiful daughter. Investigators believe that Ashlee killed Melodee on October the 9th after she was last seen with her mom at a stop on the Colorado-Utah border during their road trip. The sheriff's office saying that Buzzard returned home the next day all by herself. Ashlee appeared in court by herself for her arraignment. Prosecutors say they will not seek the death penalty. She is the only person charged in this case, no other co-defendants, and some people could be heard reacting in the gallery to that not guilty plea. Take a listen.
Today, you're charged in a felony complaint with first-degree murder with a special allegation pursuant to 190.2A15. Mr. Galvan, do you wish to waive further reading and advisement?
So
And are you requesting that I enter not guilty plea and denial?
we're entering a not guilty plea.
Okay. Not guilty plea is
Ladies and gentlemen.
is entered. Special allegations are deemed denied. The matter is assigned for all purposes to Judge Dunkel, Lompoc 1. Mr. Galvan, did you want in-time dates, or was there going to be a preliminary hearing time waiver of some variety?
Judge, Ms. Buzzard and I are waiving the 10-day right to the preliminary hearing, retaining the 60-day right. I calculate her last day as February 24, 2026.
Ma'am, you have the right to a speedy preliminary hearing. That's a preliminary hearing within 10 days of today's date, the date of your arraignment. Also, a preliminary hearing within 60 days of the date of your arraignment. For the first, that is the 10-day limit, do you give up and waive your right to a speedy preliminary hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That makes the last day for prelim 2/24, and
January 7th, Judge?
yes, January 7th. There is no bail.
Melodee's body discovered in Utah on December the 6th. Her remains weren't positively identified until December the 22nd. The criminal complaint against her mother alleges that the crime was carried out with planning, sophistication, and professionalism. So, how is this case going to play out? She pleaded not guilty at the arraignment. Are we going to see a trial? And why aren't the prosecutors seeking the death penalty? Let's talk about this. Let's bring in two incredibly seasoned former homicide prosecutors, attorneys Tommy Pope and Rick Grundy, on the show. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Tommy, let me begin with you. The decision, prosecutors already coming out at this early stage of these proceedings and saying they're not pursuing the death penalty. Your thoughts on that, please?
You know, again, different states have different rules, Julie. I traditionally would wait, and as the case developed, I've told you before that the way I viewed a death penalty, it's a murder plus. It's the murder plus the aggravating circumstances. Sound like you're going to have those here, but you want to make sure that the guilt phase is tight, because I think death penalty qualified jurors are a little more leery on the guilt phase if you don't have a tight case. So, we heard from law enforcement, the professionalism and all that was involved in the crime itself. And if it lends itself to that, and it is a tight case, then again, even for whatever reason, if later on I was going to take the death penalty off the table, personally, again, not criticizing these prosecutors, they're the ones in the trenches doing the job. Personally, I would have held off, if nothing else, leverage for life without parole plea if that was the direction you were going. So I would not have removed it at this juncture, barring, again, something that their state's rules require.
Yes, excellent points, Tommy. And for anybody wondering at home, you have that time as a prosecutor. The statute in whatever state you're in would dictate at what point you have to make a decision and file your notice of intent to seek the death penalty. So this was very, very early and perhaps surprising. So thank you for that. And Tommy, you noted about how police have come out and said just how calculated and cold-blooded this was. Rick, I want to play a clip for you, and I'll come to you on the other side. This was at the press conference that was held with the announcement of the charges against mom, Ashlee Buzzard.
Maternal filicide is rare and always difficult to comprehend. That this level of criminal activity is particularly shocking given the calculated, cold-blooded, and criminally sophisticated premeditation and heartlessness that went into planning it, and the ruthlessness that went into actually committing the crime.
Rick, tell us, what was your reaction when you heard this awful news over the holiday, like us?
Why? What could have been done? All of those things that I think people have spent a lengthy time in prosecution and often wish that there was more preventative work done by a prosecutor than stepping in at this point. With respect to the question before here, I got to tell you, as I pondered why the death penalty has been taken out of this case and why at this stage, I came up with more questions than I did answers. I'm somewhat baffled here. We hear that she was arrested by the FBI. She's being prosecuted by California. The allegation is that the child was murdered in Utah. So there's jurisdictional issues there where she could be prosecuted federally. I've seen or heard nothing that would indicate that it's headed that way. Julie, you noted, which was one of my thoughts, is has this death penalty been taken off the table because there's a larger picture here? There's other involvement of individuals. I've seen or heard nothing that would indicate to me even the kind of smoke signals that you would see in a situation like that. So where is California's jurisdiction solely if the homicide was committed in Utah? What is the complete involvement of the federal government? Is the FBI simply an assisting investigative body, or is there a potential federal prosecution there? A lot of questions here.
Oh, excellent, excellent questions you're raising, Rick. Right. You got me thinking, could the federal government decide to seek the death penalty here? Could Utah step in? You're so right, Rick. This isn't as clear-cut as we may think it is, because when we think about it, these investigators are saying she formed the intent to commit the murder in California. That's what they believe, and they believe this plan was masterfully carried out by her in order to try to avoid detection, so they say, and then happened in the state of Utah. Boy, this is really something. Let's unpack some of the physical evidence that we have to prove this. Tommy, I'll go to you on this. We know multiple gunshots to that beautiful child's head were inflicted by somebody. We know that there were spent cartridge cases at the scene that police say match a spent casing at Ashlee Buzzard's home. And they say there was a live round that looked similar found in that rental car that Ashlee Buzzard was driving. Tommy, what do you think?
I think the forensics, as you were listing those out, the first thing I'm saying is, where's the weapon? And sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. But what you do have is, basically firearms identification is tool mark identification. In other words, they're looking at a specific way the hammer hit the bullet and caused a marking that is unique to each gun. And so if you have that unique marking at the house and you have that unique marking on a casing at the crime scene, that is pretty strong evidence, I would believe. Criminals always think they get rid of the weapon, they're good, but it'd be pretty smart to remove the casings too. So I think that part sounds extremely strong. It was interesting to me doing the hearing, how nervous she was, how shaken she was. I'm sure there'll be some type of mental health incident, and I couldn't think but thinking, Melodee, how nervous and shaken she must be when her mom takes her out in the middle of nowhere with a gun. And so I'm hoping justice will be done. I thought Rick did a great job of pointing out the jurisdictional issues. So maybe this is part of a larger strategy. We always talk about we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And so, if there are other people, the smoke signals Rick was talking about, I didn't hear the quote, investigation is continuing. So I think they have their murderer. And I just hope they can serve justice, whichever jurisdiction it comes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Tommy. Boy, your comment gave me chills thinking about that poor child, how she must have been so terrified moments before she was killed. Rick Grundy, I want to ask you about something Tommy touched on, and I think this has been at the front of so many people's minds. I've heard many analysts come on our network and say, in the weeks where Melodee was missing, and people would look at the conduct of the mom, her pulling down the missing posters, wearing the wigs, acting like she doesn't have a care in the world, people would say, oh, she must have some mental health difficulties to act this way. And then we hear law enforcement talk about this planning, how it was done so carefully, meticulously to avoid detection. I mean, the deception level was incredible here. If she is the person who did this, tell me, Rick, did that surprise you to hear someone who maybe appeared to be not so well be able to do this, so law enforcement says?
Yeah, no. I guess my short answer is no. It didn't surprise me because there was a lot of effort here. The efficacy of that effort, I think, is questionable. Backing into the gas station, some cheesy wigs. I don't know how efficient they were. There was a lot of effort. There was a lot of thought that went into it, but I don't think it was all that brilliant, put it that way. And it could certainly be part of a diseased mind.
Rick Grundy, Tommy Pope, excellent insight from you both. We're going to keep talking about this case. Just have to hit our first break. Friends at home, stay with us. Here's what's coming up next on Opening Statements.
You're a mother. I'm a mother. I'm a grandma. How can you do that to a baby? I can't talk no more.
Melodee Buzzard's family is speaking out this morning, outraged and shocked at Melodee's murder. Plus, a South Carolina pastor federally charged, accused of cyberstalking his estranged wife in the months before she died by suicide.
Tell me what's happened.
I'm about to kill myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
Welcome back. Let's continue talking about the arrest of Ashlee Buzzard. It's been trending throughout the holiday season. The mother accused of killing her 9-year-old daughter. 2 days before Christmas, investigators believe all signs pointing to Ashlee Buzzard. There's the walk to the police vehicle after they cuffed her at her home. This is in Santa Barbara County, California. The sheriff's office says that this plot was carried out with exceptional cruelty and viciousness. After Buzzard appeared in court and pleaded not guilty to her daughter Melodee's murder, some family members from Melodee's father's side, her father is deceased, but from the dad's side of the family were questioning how in the world Ashlee regained custody in the first place, despite several issues happening in the past.
I don't know the whole rules or whatnot, but she ended up going through some type of recourse to where she was starting to get her on weekends, every other weekend or whatnot, and they granted her back to her. I don't know why or how. Yeah. I'm not sure.
In the time that Melodee was staying with you and your wife, but then also seeing Ashlee in between on those selected weekends, did you ever notice a shift in her behavior at all, or anything that stood out to you?
Not at all. She was happy with us. She was happy.
In your heart, since your initial meeting, since Ashlee was dating your son that passed many years ago, did you ever feel like Melodee was ever in danger?
No, I did. But I did tell my son that she was she's different, Mica. What's wrong? He goes, Mom, it's okay. She's just quiet. But I heard, and my heart told me something was wrong.
So they felt something was wrong. How did the family lose sight of her? And this is so sad. You know, so this child loses her dad at a very young age, Mom is the primary custodian. We know there's an older sister who was incredibly concerned when Melodee went missing. We saw some video of her trying to ask Ashlee what in the world was going on. She wouldn't answer her. Let's talk about how this child was failed and what things should have been done better for her. Let's bring back in attorney Rick Grundy and welcome in private investigator with Black Ops Private Investigators, Manuel Gomez. Good morning to you both. Manuel, I'll start with you here. How was this child failed in your view?
Well, it was failed by the main two purposes is one, the system. The system of the Board of Education is unified throughout the 50 states when it comes for educational requirements. The problem is when it comes to homeschooling, there is no standardization of the process of what needs to be done. So each state is different. So there's some states, and a perfect example is California, where the leniency is so much that, you know, the kid doesn't have to show up. And it's very, very minimal requirements. This is why she was able to get away with not having her show up, not having her meet the requirements, not having her speak to the teachers or anything. And the second failure in this, which is a system that I'm always talking about, Child Protective Services. When they notified Child Protective Services, they should have came in there immediately. The problem is they didn't. They could have got a court order and they could have got this child safely if they would have took action immediately, and they did not.
Right, Manuel. Rick, your thoughts on this? Who failed this child the most in your view?
Well, I think Manuel hit the nail on the head. And my experience over the past 40 years as a prosecutor, most of that spent in a government capacity. There's two areas that have jumped out to me as areas of severe warning problems within the criminal justice system, and that is the youth, the handling of the youth, particularly in troubled homes, and the handling of mental health. Mental health has been pushed into a criminal system, and the handling of children in need is horribly unfunded, largely unprofessional, and uncoordinated. And now, as Manuel pointed out, a child should have many points of contact with the community, whether it be the school, whether it be community services, whether it be social services designed particularly for the children. And these people need to speak to one another. The heart of child services throughout the country is to reunite, to keep together children and their parents. In my opinion, that is somewhat wrong-sided when it is repetitive behavior, when it is strange behavior, when it's behavior that the school, the child services, the community services, the police, who should all be talking to one another and sharing information, all point out that it is endangering this child. That needs to override any parental rights. This seems to be a glaring example where anyone who touched upon this child's life would have said, her home care is improper. This woman is incapable, uncaring, or unable to be a mother.
Right. Well said, Rick. Thank you. You know, multiple investigators, including the coroner, spoke to the media after the announcement of those charges. Take a look.
Maternal filicide is rare and always difficult to comprehend. At this level of criminal activity is particularly shocking given the calculated, cold-blooded, and criminally sophisticated premeditation and heartlessness that went into planning it, and the ruthlessness that went into actually committing the crime.
Investigators released some key timeline details leading to the second arrest of Ashlee Buzzard, which starts back on October the 7th when Ashlee and Melodee left for that 3-day-long road trip from California to Nebraska. On October the 9th, the last verified sighting of Melodee occurred right near the Colorado-Utah border. The very next day was when Ashlee returned home without her daughter. On December the 6th, investigators were contacted after a decomposing body was found in Utah. On December 22nd, the DNA links were made. linking the remains of Melodee to her mom. On the 23rd, Ashlee Buzzard is arrested and charged with murdering her daughter. All right, so what could have been done to save Melodee? Anything? What could have been done, possibly? Manuel, back to you on this.
Well, unfortunately, Julie, on one of the court TV segments, I stated a solution that could have saved Ashlee, and that is for the grandparents to have put in for a child custody order to get custody over that child. Now, the court would have appointed a child attorney for the kid and would have forced the mother to have given her the phone number or location to where the child was at. Now, this was never done, unfortunately. The prosecutors, you know, this is California. They take forever to take action. I mean, look at the David Ford case. That had a dead body in the car, and they still haven't arrested that guy. So, I mean, in this case, it doesn't shock me. They could have taken action by going to family court and putting in for custody papers, and they would have forced her to bring that kid in. Unfortunately, nobody did anything. And this is the sad thing, except put signs in front of that house.
You know,
that's horrific.
It's absolutely horrific. I'm with you. And yeah, that's a great point, Manuel, about looking back. You know, if there's anything we can learn from this, grandparents, you know, any rights that can be exercised by them or anyone else who could possibly help the child. Fair point there. Thank you for that. Rick Grundy, to you on the same question. Could there have been anything done by anyone to save this child?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the type of thing where you grow. You know, we need to grow as a service agency. We need to grow when it comes to protecting children. You need to be more aggressive. You can't have your social service agencies waiting by the phone for somebody to call up and say, there's a crisis situation, jump in and fix it now. Red flags. I want to homeschool my child. It's not a religious-based desire. I want to homeschool my child. That's a red flag. You got to look into that. You don't just check a box and say, okay, bingo, you're homeschooling your child. If a child is being isolated in the home, that's a red flag right there. Find out why that's happening. Now I've got a single parent who doesn't want to send their kid to school. Education is one thing about school. The main function of a school system is to socialize that child, to become a young adult, to be able to go through life. So when the agencies need to be assertive. They need to talk to one another.
Yes.
If somebody wants to be homeschooled, contact child services, investigate the home, fund these organizations so that they can do it. It's not going to cure itself, and the community is not going to be able to cure itself.
Yeah, you're so right. Great points from you both. Thank you for that. We have more to come on this case. Rick Grundy, Manuel Gomez, thank you both kindly. When we come back, here's what's next.
I can't trust you when you're lying. You're flat out lying. You're a really good liar. Like Tyler.
It's Ashlee Buzzard's voice on that recording, that secret recording that she made. It's been released. We're going to play it for you and talk about how it'll tip the scales of justice. Plus, we're spotlighting the mysterious death of Mica Miller and the charges her pastor husband is now facing.
I'm about to kill myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
He said he was cleared. Robinson County said he was cleared. I think we knew deep down all along that the FBI was investigating.
My wife has passed away. And yeah, it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina.
Waiting for this day for 6 months.
This morning, our spotlight is shining on a case that we've been following for quite some time here at Court TV. The suspicious suicide of Mica Miller, the wife of a South Carolina pastor. And now her estranged husband, John Paul Miller, has been indicted in connection with her death. Now, Mica Miller died in April of last year. Much of the focus went to her husband after her family and her supporters believed that he had some sort of involvement. Well, now, 2 years later, federal prosecutors in South Carolina have indicted him for cyberstalking leading up to her death. They also allege they made false statements to federal investigators. They're looking at a period of time that they say he harassed her in various ways between November of 2022 and her death in 2024. That's a long time. They say it included unwanted and harassing communications, allegedly posting a nude photo of her online without her permission. Miller also allegedly placed tracking devices on Mica's car, and on one occasion, police say contacted her over 50 times in one day. John Paul Miller is also accused of damaging her tires and interfering with her finances and with her daily activities. So to be very clear, not charged with a murder, not charged with a murder. She died by suicide. That designation's not changing. But what is new here is how investigators have dug into what was going on in her life during that period of time prior to her suicide. Let's bring in someone who is representing Mica Miller's family and who knew Mica Miller. Family law attorney Regina Ward. Regina, good morning to you. We're so pleased to welcome you back on the program. This morning, wow, things have really changed since the last time we spoke. What's the reaction, please, from Mica's family to these charges against John Paul?
Yes, as far as Mica's family, they have at this time want to remain private. They're not making any public comments at this time. Specifically about the charges or anything related to it at this time. So they're maintaining their privacy on that.
You know, fair enough. And they have hired you to represent them in a public way, like this morning, to speak about this case. And take us back. You knew Mica, right? She was working with you on her divorce, which never was finalized, right?
Right. She had retained me to actually file a separate maintenance and support action. So I knew her first as a client. And then, of course, you know, the things that we were collecting or that she was giving to me to prepare for that ultimate divorce action are the things that she collected, protected, and kept and turned over to me that was actually ended up being used to, I think, first of all, to get a warrant to search his house, and obviously, second of all, to get this indictment.
Yes, I want to dig into the indictment. Let's look back at Mica's own words. It seemed very apparent she was going through something prior to her death. This is a video she posted to Facebook.
Hey everybody, I just want to let you know that I'm alive and well, and life's been kind of crazy the couple past weeks, months, years, but I've kind of had to keep my circle really small for the past couple weeks just because I'm going through a lot, and it's hard, and it's my cross to bear. It's the thing that God has put in my life to deal with, and I don't want to bring a lot of people into it.
This is so sad. A beautiful young woman she was. Regina, tell me, in terms of any involvement you have had in being interviewed or turning over any evidence to federal investigators, witnessing anything, would you kind of walk us through what you know as it pertains to this federal indictment?
Yes. Well, I was actually served a subpoena that was issued by the grand jury to turn over the materials that I had in my possession that was basically Mica's file. And those were things, obviously, that she collected, the videos, the photographs, the text messages. All of those things are what Mica preserved and turned over to me. Of course, when the FBI started looking into the case and got the subpoena, they gave me an option to appear and testify or to turn over the documents. Well, obviously, there's no reason for me to appear and testify. I happily turned over the documents to the FBI. And there are pretty much everything that's in the indictment points to that. A piece of evidence that was in my possession that was given to me by Mica. So I am confident that those things that she turned over to me are what's supporting, or the supporting evidence or corroborating evidence to these allegations.
Wow, so it really seems that Mica is key to this case, from the grave. It's the evidence that she collected, she gathered. It gives me chills, Regina, to think about it. I know we're very early on in the stages of this case, but we have been highly interested in this case, the investigation, and we're so pleased to speak with you today about it. Please come back soon, and we'll talk more. Thank you kindly.
Yes, thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Regina. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, here's what's next.
Be quiet and listen, please. Look at me. Like, I'm an intelligent woman. I'm 40 years old. You deal with legal stuff. Like, who are you kidding?
Could this secret audio recording of Ashlee Buzzard tip the scales of justice in her homicide case involving her daughter?
Coming soon to Court TV.
A Microsoft executive gunned down. Now his ex and her new husband are charged with his murder.
I'm gonna kill her.
An alleged murder plot involving a family's au pair and the married father she worked for.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have something against me? She wrote a children's book about her husband's death. Now she's accused of killing him.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
Alice.
Welcome back. As the evidence against defendant Ashlee Buzzard continues coming to light, the audio from her conversation with a family friend could be tipping the scales of justice. Ashlee Buzzard is heard speaking with a friend named Tyler Brewer, who was secretly recording their conversation while he was visiting Ashlee, and this was during the search for her daughter, Melodee.
And I can't trust you when you're lying. You're flat out lying. You're a really good liar. Like, Tyler. Tyler.
I'm definitely not
Tyler,
going to deceive.
Be quiet and listen, please. Look at me. Like, I'm an intelligent woman. I'm 40 years old. You deal with legal stuff. Like, who are you kidding? Tyler.
I can only tell you my perspective.
Listen, I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
I understand.
And you need a reality check. If this is on media news, like news talk shows, they're going to be seeing you, they're going to be interested in you. You have to understand that I'm aware, whether you want to admit it or not, you want the attention.
I don't want the attention.
There is absolutely no way in hell that you are not bipolar or have an extreme issue. If you don't realize what you're doing is false advertisement, and there are real legal ramifications, I don't know how you honestly are not worried about being put in jail.
I will have to leave at this moment.
Since you're leaving in an uncomfortable way, I want the keys to my house.
Yeah, they're right there.
And the storage.
Right there.
Nobody else has keys, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. No one else has keys.
Tyler, genuinely, if you've been here, genuinely to help, I appreciate it. The lies are a lot.
Whose lies? Can this audio be key to the case? Let's talk about it. Let's bring back in Manuel Gomez and Tommy Pope, see what they think. Manuel, to you first here, your thoughts here.
Well, I mean, this shows that she's a bit of a manipulator. And I do think it'll be key to showing her mindset that she's not all there, okay? But the guy that she was keeping in her house, as like I said on a prior Court TV episode, I don't trust him. I don't find him credible, okay? And I do believe that this recording is going to help to show that she's not all there when it comes to the prosecutor showing to the jury.
Appreciate it, Manuel. Tommy, your thoughts. What do you hear when you're listening to that audio of her?
I hear, whether she's right or wrong, she's being articulate. First thing you always think about a case of this is an insanity plea of some type. And as you know, and your viewers know, some variation of McNaughton, legal and moral right from legal and moral wrong. She's very lucid. She may be delusional from what she's saying or not saying or discussing, but I think it shows, calm reflection and thought process. And, as a prosecutor, I'm looking for those type things that I would use to, if they came up with, she was, had lost her mind, was insane, didn't understand what actually was going on, thought she was offering her daughter to the Lord, or those variations. I think this helps in that regard.
Right, Tommy. I've got a clip. This is Tyler Brewer speaking with our friend Ashlee Banfield on her show on News Nation. This is where he's describing a time that Ashlee tried to give Melodee Buzzard away to another family member.
She ended up going on a road trip at the instructions of individuals that she barely even knows, and I question if she even knows them really at all, in efforts to drop Melodee off with them, apparently some location in Utah. She had said that it was a couple that she met at a zoo, but she doesn't know these people's names, their address, their phone number, their location, nothing. It's bizarre. It makes no sense.
Yeah, he said it well, didn't he? Tommy, your reaction here in that, please.
I think it's bizarre and makes no sense. It's just like you said. I think her conduct, it'll be interesting. She has an absolute right to remain silent, but it'll be interesting as this plays out, if we do see a trial, what even got her to this point that was an option? We see it so many times. You and I have talked about it with the Smith case. Just give the kids away to a family member. If they're a burden or impeding whatever you want to do, just give them to somebody that'll love them. But I think the fallacy there is these people, these murderers, don't want to look like a bad mother. And so rather than give the child a life and give the child an opportunity, they'd rather take their life than give them up. And, hopefully she kills the child and no one knows she did it and she moves on with her life. I mean, it's very narcissistic. It's very self-centered.
It is, Tommy. You're right. Manuel, tell me what you think here about this plot. Law enforcement has called it very sophisticated and professional, the way in which she did all these things. And this is also a woman who I think many people looked at and were going, she doesn't seem, all that well, the way she's behaving with her daughter missing. What do you think? Sinister, unwell, both? Your thoughts on Ashlee Buzzard?
I think you nailed it both. She's sinister and unwell. The Ashlee Buzzard statement, what you just heard from that guy stating that, she was going to take her to Utah, that's going to be key when it comes to the prosecutor's case, because it shows where she went and that the story that she made up was a lie. Not only that there's been shell casings found by Ashlee Buzzard's body that are similar to the shell casings of bullets found in the mother's house. Okay, so Melodee's body, the evidence there is going to damn her 100% in court. There's no doubt in my mind. I just hope, Julie, one thing comes out of this case, and that we have what they call a Melodee standard, so that all homeschools are now standardized so that we can monitor children to make sure this doesn't happen again. Yes. I really hope something like that comes out of this. We need to have a change in our system.
Yeah, we sure do. You're right, my friend. We got to leave it there for just a moment. We're going to hit a break and keep talking about this case on the other side. Manuel Gomez, Tommy Pope, great insight. Thank you both kindly. And friends at home, thank you.